If you've been thinking about using your VA loan to invest in property, to build a custom home, or to purchase land, and you want to know about the Raleigh, North Carolina real estate market, you have found the right channel. My name is Pete Marston, and I'm a local realtor who's lived in the area for over 20 years. And I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every single day. If that's you, don't forget to check out my contact information in the description below. Everything is listed there. You can call, text, email, or even set up a Zoom. So whether you're moving in 9 days or in 90 days, from across town, across the state, across the country, or across the world, I'm here to help you make your move just like you want it to be. So let's dive in and explore all the nuances of VA loans related to investment properties, custom home building, and land with my lending partner, Steve Doherty, also a Marine veteran and VA loan expert. Let's dive in.
3 different things that come up with veterans for me all the time: investment properties, construction loans, and land. So, and it's kind of makes sense, right? Like, there's a lot of people in the military that have gotten into or want to get into the investment game because they don't have a lot of opportunities to kind of grow their net worth while they're in the military. So they get a couple bucks and they want to buy a house and they want to grow that, and they move from one place to another. So they want to keep kind of growing their portfolio of assets, right? Makes sense. People who want to get out and want to build their own dream home, right? Mm-hmm. They like, how do I get a construction loan on? And I've been thinking about this for the last 20 years, and I want to build the thing that I've been dreaming about. Can I use my VA loan?
With a 100-yard rifle range.
Well, that blends into the last piece of land, right? Like, yeah. Like, I want to own my 20 acres, and I want to 4-wheelers and shoot, and I want to have my own rifle range, and I want to,
no one can tell me I can't have roosters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All those things. So they all kind of blend together. Yeah. So let's just kind of dive into those.
Okay. So first of all, you can't use a VA loan to directly purchase a home that you do not intend to occupy as your primary or principal residence. Right. Can't use it to just flat out, straight up buy an investment property. Right. VA loan is to help you purchase homes that you intend to occupy. Now, is there some gray around that? Yes. What if you're not going to occupy the home within 6 months because you're deployed or because you're getting out, right? That's okay, right? It's just that your intent cannot be to purchase it, to turn around and rent it out, to use it as an investment.
Can they rent it in that? If somebody buys it, they're 13 months out, they buy a house, they want to move to Raleigh next year, I want to buy a house now. Can they rent it out between now and next year?
Yes, we couldn't use that potential rental income as qualifying income.
Right.
But they could in the meantime. Yep. Yeah. There's
nobody's going to come and, the IRS, somebody's not going to come and put them in shackles.
Police. Exactly. Yep. Now, there's a lot of buzz about what I'm about to talk about on the internet, which is using the VA loan kind of to specifically build up a real estate portfolio.
Right.
Now, it kind of depends on your intent. And I hear some of these talks online, and I'm thinking, that's great. You guys are recommending mortgage fraud, right? So I would recommend.
You mean everything on the internet isn't true?
Yeah. Can you believe
it? They're on YouTube, though.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I would recommend not committing mortgage fraud. That would be my advice. But like we said earlier in the video, you can have more than one VA loan at a time. Once you leave home number one, there's no restrictions as to how you use that property. You can turn around and rent it. So for the scenario of the service member who's PCSing and they're racking up investment properties in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Albany, Georgia, and Camp Pendleton and Yuma, right? They're doing the roadshow and they have used their VA entitlement every step of the way. You can keep doing that, but eventually you're going to run into a cap,
right?
Because you're going to have all this charged entitlement. And you're eventually not going to be able to use that VA loan anymore, or the down payment is going to be so big that the big benefit of the VA loan is no longer there.
Right.
So, if you buy a home as a, and I actually had this conversation with a realtor just yesterday, with a buyer who is convinced they could buy 1 million investment properties. It really comes down to your intent, right? Let's say, a veteran buys a home in Raleigh in a neighborhood, and then 30 days later wants to buy the home across the street, which is nearly identical, and buy that using a VA loan and buy that as a primary residence. That is going to look a little fishy, right?
Right.
Why are you buying? And this isn't just for VA loans, conventional loans. Anytime you want to buy a primary residence and they look identical like that in space, time, everything, it's going to look fishy, right? It doesn't mean you can't do it, but someone along the way is probably going to stop you. Now, the first person that you would talk to at a mortgage bank is going to be someone like me, a loan officer, an originator. Right. But we advocate for buyers. Generally speaking, we make money by closing deals. We kind of align ourselves with the buyer.
Right.
You can find a loan officer who's willing to do this.
Right.
I guarantee there's some guy out there, but the odds of there being an underwriter who's willing to do it is significantly less.
And the underwriter is really the one who is going to approve that. Exactly. Ultimately.
They're like the fun police.
You're the fun. Sure. I was going to probably make a bad analogy. Like you're more like, this is probably a bad analogy, especially, but like kind of like the sales guy, right? Like you're the guy who's kind of assessing what the need is of the client and saying, hey, let's do this. Here, let me put this plan together for you. But that plan has to go somewhere else to say, humana.
Exactly.
We're actually gonna do that as a company.
Right.
And thank God, I've never had one of my clients with you go through underwriting and had anybody go, that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
we do a lot of work in the front end.
That'd be pretty annoying. It'd be far down the path too. So you'd be like under contract on a house. What that looks like is you'd be, if what you're saying would happen, you're probably under a contract on a house. You've put money into due diligence. And then an underwriter comes back and says, yeah, that mortgage fraud you want to do, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
And now you're out that cash.
Right. At the end of the day, the underwriter is kind of like a safety net for the bank. Because the bank, despite what most people think, the bank does not want to complete a loan that doesn't meet VA standards. Because if they don't, they can't sell it on the secondary market and they're stuck with it.
Right.
So to be an underwriter on any VA loan, you have to be approved to do VA underwriting by the VA.
Right.
And you are scored by the VA. So if you're a VA underwriter and you ever mail it in or be like, you know what, this guy, he seems like such a nice guy, we're going to help him out. He can buy the house across the street.
Yeah.
The VA will track that underwriter if they make a mistake. So underwriters, especially on VA loans, do not want to make mistakes. So the odds of maybe you can find a loan officer who's willing to, kind of look the other way and kind of help you out. But the odds of finding an underwriter willing to do that are very low. So, maybe you can, maybe there are some that are out there. Maybe the underwriter isn't that competent. Maybe they do make a mistake, right? Or maybe the originator just kind of, beats them into submission, makes them do it, right? I suppose that could happen. But at the end of the day, you have this problem of someone at the front end, sales guy, very friendly, bright smile, nice white teeth saying, yeah, absolutely, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then you get in a situation 3 weeks later where an underwriter is being like, nope, absolutely not, can't do it. So what that boils down to is, okay, how do you build a real estate portfolio using the VA loan? As long as you intend to occupy that home as a primary residence, you're in good shape, right? Now, same scenario. Let's say...
Is there a timeline that you should kind of plan for to occupy that home as your primary residence? Barring like, hey, I PCS one place and like 6 months later they said, no, you got to go here.
I would say 8 months, you're probably in the clear. Now, if every 8 months you're buying another primary residence with your VA loan, at some point an investor might get nervous and not want to do that because again, they want to be able to sell that mortgage as a mortgage-backed security on the secondary market, right?
Right.
But let's say you buy a home on, and you're way up in North Raleigh, and you just got out of the Army, right? You buy the home in North Raleigh, you get a job working in Durham, right? And then 3 months later, you get transferred to Fayetteville, some job down in Fayetteville.
Right.
North Raleigh to Fayetteville, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of a nasty drive. So it's a long haul.
Yeah.
But if you move down to Holly Springs or Fuquay, that's drivable, right? So 90 days later, you're kind of in the same area, right? You're both in Wake County. Is that going to be good to go? Yes, because you have an explanation for it, right? You know, I've done plenty of deals like that where buyers are buying primary residences kind of in succession, but there's a good reason to do so, right? When it doesn't quite pass the smell test, that's when you just set yourself up for possibly getting in trouble. And because in North Carolina we have due diligence, which we've talked about, you can get pinched. You can lose money by trying to do that. So, you know, the longer in time between primary residence purchases, the safer, right? The longer the distance in proximity. If the homes are different, right? You know, if you buy a home, you know, you buy a split ranch in downtown Cary in March, and then your spouse gets a job in May, and you want to turn around and buy a home that's double the value, right? You know, a third more square footage. It's not going to look that suspicious because they're two totally different homes, right? But when there's a pattern of kind of racking up the same property, that's when people are going to start to get nervous.
Got it.
An issue. And just because you get away with it doesn't necessarily mean it was, I don't want to say the right thing to do, but doesn't necessarily mean that it was within the bounds of the rules, right? And eventually you could get caught. So just be kind of careful if you want to use your VA entitlement to kind of build a real estate portfolio.
The most common way though is just, hey, every time a PCS, I buy a new house, and that's totally fine.
No one would ever question that, and it's totally above board.
Yeah.
Right now, again, eventually, if you own a home in Havelock, North Carolina, and then you own a home in Carlsbad, California, and now you're moving, you want to buy a nice big old home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
You're just going to run out of
You're going to run out of entitlement.
You're going to run out of entitlement.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that you're going to run out of the entitlement. Yeah. But if your goal is just to, keep racking up places until you get out, and then when you get out, maybe if you have a 15, 20-year career, 25-year career, you can rack up a handful of houses, and then you've held on to them long enough for them to be good investments, and you sell them and make a profit, and you use some of that money to go buy a new house. So
you can always refinance those, those older properties out of a VA loan to free up more entitlement, and then use your entitlement again, right? But yeah, I would just kind of overall say, if what you're trying to do smells fishy, just be careful.
So the other two things I mentioned, I don't know, a while ago, we went down this rabbit hole, and I appreciate it. I don't know. I like stories. But the other two things I hear a lot about, or I get questioned about, are VA construction loans and land. So
easy. We'll take the easy one first. You cannot buy just pure land with a VA loan.
Right. You
can't buy just pure land with any traditional, or what we would call conforming mortgage program.
Right.
USDA, FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, right? There has to be some kind of dwelling on the property. And even if there was some kind of loophole, without it's difficult to appraise just pure land. So that may present an issue anyway. So it can't do pure land. Now, can you purchase land with nothing on it and build?
Right.
Construction financing. Yes, you can. Right. Now you can obviously buy new construction.
Right.
Existing home totally complete at closing. You get the keys.
It's a spec home and it's halfway done.
Right.
It's the same as buying an existing home.
Exactly. Right. That would be purchasing new construction. Construction financing, where maybe you're working with a local builder. He doesn't have the capital to totally finance your construction and hope that you're going to pay him in full at the finish line.
Right.
Right. In that situation, he needs to probably collect some kind of draws. He needs to get some money up front to buy materials, and he wants to get paid at certain phases during construction.
How is the land purchased under that scenario then?
The borrower could either already own the land.
Yeah. Using another financing vehicle.
Now, if they do that, most investors that do VA construction financing are going to want that land loan paid off at closing. But they could already own the land. They could own it free and clear, or they could own it on a mortgage property.
Right.
They could have got a land loan to purchase the land. Or you can wrap it up all into one transaction. right? You find a lot, find a builder gives you a plan, and you use that one construction financing loan to purchase the lot and construct the property.
So you got to kind of have, and that's a unique one, right? From my perspective, right? So for a lot of veterans, what they're searching for is kind of a unicorn, right? They're searching for something that's very unique piece of property, and we make it happen, but they're searching for something that's unique. And a lot of those unique properties are a little bit further out. They're not going to be, unless you have a lot of money. I mean, a 1 acre lot in North Raleigh, if you want to buy 1 acre in North Raleigh, $300,000 to maybe even up to $400,000. If you want to buy it in closer, in North Raleigh, near North Hill, something like that. I mean, you could be buying a 3/4 acre lot or a 1/2 acre lot for $700,000. So we're looking a little further out.
Right. Yep.
And what that means is often the land that you are purchasing is land that is handed down over generation to generation. And somebody's held on to it for a long time.
Or it could be like a subdivided lot.
You're getting a chunk out of
50.
Correct. Right. So you're getting something like that. So when you go to look at that piece of property, often that landowner has done nothing to prepare it for building a house. And I don't necessarily mean cutting down trees. I mean doing all of the necessary, investigation into it. So where is your septic going to go? What's the does the land perk? Have they done the surveys? Have they done wetland delineations? Have they done what's been all done so that when you show up to buy it, when you close on it, it's ready to go.
Right.
Right. So when you buy land, you have to take a look at how long do I need for a due diligence period? And you have to have a builder kind of already in your pocket that's helping you. So a lot of times I have people that are telling me, hey, I want to buy a piece of land and I want to build my house on it. Okay, well, when do you want to buy it? When do you want to build that house?
Right.
Do you want to build it 6 years down the road after you have established yourself in the private sector? Or do you plan on building it within the first year of you getting out of the military? Two totally different things, right?
Right.
Because if it's down the road, you're holding just a land loan has nothing to do with the VA for a long time.
Right.
Right. If you're trying to wrap it into a VA loan in that first year or whatever it might be, then we're talking about what we're talking about, right? And we need to make sure we have enough time, and you have to have cash available to do that investigation before you go under contract, and have the builder right alongside you looking at those plans and saying, yes, we can do this.
Right.
We can put the house where you want it with all the things you want on the piece of property that you like.
Right.
Otherwise, we can't. You got to be ready to do that.
Right.
When you get to closing. Otherwise, you can't do what you're talking.
Right.
You can't use the loan that you're talking about.
This isn't going to happen on a Friday night. Hey, Pete, we want to build on this lot.
No.
What can we do?
Hey, I saw this lot up in North Raleigh. It looks great. I want to build on it.
Right.
Let's get it under contract next week.
Like I said earlier, there's never any consequences to getting started earlier. I would say that's especially so on VA construction finance. Number one, there aren't that many investors that want to do it.
Right.
There's only a handful that I'm aware of that will do a VA 100% financing, construction financing, right? There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of exposure. So you want to start that process early. And like you said, you want to give a nice long closing period, where on your side of the house, you're looking at the land. Does it perk? Is it going to work? On our side of the house, we need to have all the construction stuff finalized. Construction doesn't have to be completed. We can't start until you own the property, right? But we need to have all the financing, the plans, all that stuff needs to be approved and signed off on. I suppose you could do it in 30 days, but boy, it would be a white knuckle ride. It would not be fun.
Yeah. So I know we've kind of talked about VA construction loans I'll use the same term, being a bit of a unicorn, just because there's a lot of different things. Whereas like having a more conventional construction loan is probably the better way to go. It's probably a little safer, a little bit more flexible, and maybe later refinancing that into a VA loan.
And
later.
that's another option, and that's what I see more frequently. Not that many borrowers utilize the VA financing to build a home, but like you can always refinance back into one, and you're going to get a much lower interest rate, and it's going to look just like a regular VA mortgage at that point. Not a bad option at all. And refinance, I mean, we do refinances all day. So
yeah, it's all exciting stuff though, man. It's always fun to get like in the weed to me to kind of really parcel out all these different options that people have and really kind of dispel the myths that, the barracks lawyers and barracks lenders and barracks realtors, share, and the YouTubers out there that are, preying on people. It's just
promoting
fun.
mortgage fraud.
Yeah, promoting mortgage fraud to just dispel all those things and kind of peel back the onion and really just help somebody really understand what their options are. And, one of the things that I tell people this all the time that I like about working with you is that even if it doesn't end up benefiting you directly, and you say, you know what, you're better off doing this. You're better off not working with me. You're better off working with this program or doing this. You're not afraid to tell people that. And, and that, being able to just kind of flex and go in a lot of different directions. Pretty cool.
If you have any questions after this video, drop a comment below. I love to reply to your comments. You can also send me an email, set up a call, send me a text, or set up a Zoom, taking my contact information out of the description below. Whether you're moving in 9 days or in 90 days, if you're moving across the state, across the country, or across the world, I'm here to help you make your move exactly like you want it to be. If you want to talk more about construction, land, and investment properties with VA loans, reach out to me, reach out to my lending partner, Steve Doherty from Advantage Lending. Take his contact information out of the description below as well. And until next time, I look forward to showing you around town.